All right, residents of MeepleTown, we are here.
Here we go, baby.
Now, if you're on the podcast, you're like, why are you welcoming yourself again?
Because we's doing a video.
We are. And you know what? We could do two separate things, right? But
kill two birds with the proverbial one stone. That's what we do.
One board game box. Here we are doing our top 10 of 2021, and it is only March. We've got to be the latest ones to the game on this. But
and even at that, there were still several games that I super wanted to play.
Yeah. Here's what we do, and we don't care. We're going to do our thing, right?
It's our channel.
It's our channel. We do what we want. What we didn't want to do is have a ton of games that we didn't get a chance to play and be like, that would have made my list, and then go back and do another list. So what we try to do is play as many as we can. Now, with all the shipping delays and everything, that made this year a lot harder.
Tough.
But we're like, let's just do it anyway. But I know there's probably games out there that we have not played yet and probably will make our list. But we'll just, maybe we'll come back at some point and say, hey, this would have made my list.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say that several of the games I really wanted to play, being a Euro fella, did not make it over to the US of A. So, Golem, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like that game a lot. I also think Messina is one I'm going to like quite a bit. So not playing those, and there's more than that, but it's particularly those two. So if you're overseas and you're like, why you don't have this on the list? Maybe because I didn't even play it.
And also, there's some that are listed, for example, me being more of a thematic gamer.
Yeah.
Return to Dark Tower is listed, I think, still as a 2021 game. It's not. It just came out. So I didn't add that on here, although it's very possible it could have made my list.
I went by BGG. Okay. So that's what I did personally. So there would be some games. Yeah. Anyways, let me not do any spoiling.
There we go. All right. So I'm just going to jump into this then.
Go, baby.
All right. My number 10 is a game that I have tooted its horn for a while. We did a video for this a while back.
You just said tooted.
Magnate: The First City. Magnate: The First City by James Naylor and by Naylor Games. Now this is a game that is a big box game. It's got all these cool little plastic miniatures in there. And that's all I got to say.
That's it.
Now I'm just kidding. In this game, you are buying up different land plots, and then you're putting buildings on there. You're trying to get tenants inside those buildings so that they can pay you money, and you can make lots of money. And then you might say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. I'm selling this property.
Get it out of here.
Get it out of here and give me that dough, that hard cash. And that's what you do in this game. And you try to have more money.
Give me that cheddar. How about that?
That's pretty good, actually. That's one of your better ones.
Oh.
But I really, really enjoyed this game. Now, this is one that I don't know how much hype this was surrounding this game, but I didn't care, I thought it was just a fun game that I enjoyed, feeling like I'm actually, this game is super thematic. It actually feels like you're buying up these properties, selling them. You want to sell them at the right time before the market crashes at the end of the game, because you're not going to get as much money for it at that point. So
this was on my short list. It didn't make my list, but it's a really good game. If you want to do that little economic buy and sell, buy low, sell high, fairly simple to teach, right?
Yeah, it's got some fiddliness.
That's why I said fairly.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty easy to overcome. The player aid cards or whatever I think are really helpful. Yeah. Now there is dice rolling in this game to get tenants into your buildings. However, you can mitigate that with marketing. If you do good marketing, then you'll get more people in your building.
Yep, that's a good game.
Yeah. On your list? Not on your list, because if it was, we would have just skipped over it.
You need to say the name again.
Magnate: The First City.
There we go. All right, so my number 10 is a game, and there are a few that are on the lower end of my list because I just haven't played them enough. Now, I'm not saying that this would go up super high or anything like that, but I just have only played this a couple times with Dean. Maybe this will surprise a few people. Jekyll versus Hyde. How about that?
How about
It's ranked 1,876 overall. If you've never heard of Jekyll versus Hyde, it is a two-player trick-taking game. And if you do follow MeepleTown, you do know that I like my trick-taking games. I think this is probably the best two-player only trick-taking game. Agree or disagree, Dean?
Yeah, I agree, but I can think of 3 games. I'm sure there's more.
No, there's more than that.
Okay, I can only think of 3, and it's better than those, although I like those other ones too.
So what makes this game intriguing is you're either going to be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, and you're going to either be trying to win every hand or lose every hand, so you want it to be off balance. So that's one player. The other player wants to have it right smack dab in the middle. he or she wants to lose or win the same amount of hands. And in the midst of that, you're changing trumps. You have these potions. Look at that potion picture right there. It's pretty sick, huh? What does the potions do again?
They will activate the different color cards. Like each of the different colors has different activation abilities that trigger by that, but also they have a value listed on there as well.
That's right. Yeah, and so
have you ever played this game?
Nah, I just went ahead and threw it up.
It activates the card. Like if John plays a purple card and then I play that potion on top of it, it activates the purple color. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a really good game.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that, and I was just trying to remember. You play lots of games, and then you kind of forget the nuances, but I just remember the feels, and this is really cool. And this was one of those games that, Dean's like, hey, let's play it. And I'm like going, oh my gosh, really? This is one, I don't really care about this.
Yeah.
That much.
This made...
and I went, whoa, that's pretty good right there.
I think this one, I like that delay. That was nice. I think this one made Game Boy Geek's list. I think that's right, and that's why I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm intrigued by this now."
Color me intrigued,
and I see why. This is a fantastic pick, John. Well done so far. You're off to a good start.
Well, can I tell you something?
No, don't.
I have this coffee mug, and I'm not sure how to get it to my body. Like, do I pass it through this thing? I mean, Dean and I are really close. Do I hit him? So if I look really awkward on the video, it's because I feel awkward.
That was me drinking my coffee because I've got mine on a little ledge over here, which you have.
My ledge will break if I put it on.
It will break in half. That's right. All right, let's go to number 9. My number 9 is a story-driven game called Destinies. Now you know that I like Chronicles of
Density.
I got you.
My
Destiny. You made that joke when we did the video for this.
I did?
Yeah.
Dang it.
And probably when we did the podcast too.
Dang it.
But it's a good joke. If you like Back to the Future, it's good. All right. This is a game that I mentioned, Chronicles of Crime. It has some similarities to that. It's by Lucky Duck Games. In this game, you are...
I didn't mean to say this,
but
earlier
on
the podcast, I said Johnny Time Travel was my name, because we're going back to 2021, and we just talked about Back to the Future. Continue.
There we go. Hey, let's keep a tally of all the games that are on my list that also have miniatures. Maybe there's a correlation there.
I mean...
Maybe. Maybe. Anyway.
You're getting choked up about it over
in this game, you are trying to complete one of your destinies. You have a character card that has 2 different destinies on there. If you complete it, you are the winner. And it's 2 to 3 only, 2 to 3 player only. Solo. You can play a solo version of this as well, it's good. The solo is a lot of fun. But the big thing of this game, again, you're going around, you're creating this map, you're exploring and trying to interact with different people, and the mechanics are really simple for this game. But the biggest thing is like Chronicles of Crime, where you are scanning cards, and the cards will interact with different people. And,
big time.
Yeah. The app is big, but you can have one person control the app in this one, other than like scanning the cards and stuff. And you can have that one person, like you can be looking at just the table map and say, hey, I want to interact with this person right here or this object right here. Then that person can click on there and tell you what's going on. But
you definitely wouldn't want more than 3 players in this game. It would take way too long to get back around to your turn.
Yeah, absolutely it would. And even in a 2-player game, that could potentially be the case because you want to know what the other people are doing because you want to know, is that a place I need to go over there? But it is kind of solo-esque. You're not, super interacting with each other, throughout the game. But I still really like this one. I think it was a nice, like, it's not a re-implementation of Chronicles of Crime, but it uses that main mechanism of scanning the cards and then brings it to a different type of game. I really, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was actually better than I thought. Like, seriously, I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I liked how it almost was like one of those games that feels like a co-op game, but it was not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way you're watching other people and what they, like you just said, what they unveil affects your game. And it's like, it feels like a co-op competitive game.
Yeah, and most of the time these type of games are cooperative, but it is not. It is competitive.
And it's super deductive. Like, I didn't realize that when I farted. Did I just say that? When I started. Goodness. Well, I got toots on the brain.
Oh, man. On a side note, I'm looking for another host, another co-host.
When I first started playing this, I thought it was more like an adventure, like go hack and slash monsters and stuff. But I was like, whoa, okay, never mind. This is a This is a deduction game.
Yeah, you have to make interesting decisions in this game. Like, do I want to help this person? Do I not want to help this person? Are they going to slow me down from actually completing my destiny? There's a lot of cool things to think about in this game.
Astute observation. Do I help them? Do I not help them? All right, so say it again.
That's me. That is Destinies.
All right, so my number 9 is a party game. Can you believe it? My number 10 is a trick-taking game. My number 9 is a party game. That is so Clover.
That is so
How about
Clover.
that? Dean, are you happy that this is on my list?
Yeah. There's some games that didn't quite make my list, but I want them to be known that I really enjoy them. This is one of them.
All right, so the reason this is on my list is because I have shown this to... Can you pull up some pictures?
No.
Please. I've shown this to a lot of people this year.
I'm gonna keep one picture up here because that really is.
It's been my go-to party game of the year, like something new, something fresh. Like I played a lot of Just One. I played that plenty this year as well. But this has been a hit every time I've showed this game, and people have absolutely loved it. In this game, you have a clover, and there are 2 words on all 4 sides of the clover. What you're supposed to do, as Dean is pulling up here, is write one word that connects those 2. So in this one, we see cake and recipe, and so the person wrote the word cooking. I would actually say baking would have been a better choice for that, wouldn't you, Dean? Or repair and bulb.
Probably so,
They
yeah.
wrote electrician. And what happens is you have these 4 squares that are creating those words. You chuck them all off, you shuffle them up, you toss another rando card in there, and then the people are left with the clover with only 4 words on it. The other people in the game, what do, Dean? They have to figure out where your 4 squares go, and basically which one is not, which one of these is not like the other. And it is a hoot.
I want to know if they staged this one.
Yes, absolutely.
This was an easy one,
doubt.
right?
Absolutely.
I think so. If you're not watching the video, the cake recipe is 2 combination: repair, bulb. Patio Europe might be the hardest one out of these, and then Blonde Twins, Olsen Twins is what they put. They staged this, right?
Yeah, I think so for sure. But it usually is much harder than that. And there's oftentimes one of the sides where you're like, I cannot figure out a way to make this work, and you just come up with some kind of crazy something in your brain, hoping that someone by chance can figure it out,
or hoping that the other one lines up so perfectly that one doesn't matter.
I agreed. And this to me, this is feels like more of a adult. I would say gamers, but adult Just One. The negative to this over Just One is Just One I can play with anybody, including my kids. If you have this requires a little bit more thought. And even with the adults, I've had a few people like, man, too nervous, like didn't want to answer some of these because they felt like they were going to let the whole team down because it was really tough. And I really like this one. This has been really fun.
Yeah, this is an excellent pick.
This will be my most played of this list.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, no doubt.
That makes sense. It makes sense at a party game. But Fly and Sea is the one they have on here as the example.
I want to play right now.
Did you see what it was?
Goal.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, it's a good pick. John's off to a good start.
Dean, I think, is going to think that my list is better than his.
John has a good list.
He does that. He has entree envy. That's whenever you order food and then you're like, dang, that looks really good.
I should have just switched them, right? A game that is not on your list, there we go, is After the Empire. This is a game that you and I got to play.
I'm surprised that this made you... I know you really like it. It's a good game, and it's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I love this game. And it's okay, does this count as a miniature game? Would you say there's miniatures in this?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't have the deluxe version of this. I just have the regular version. But the castle's still plastic, so... 3 for 3 so far.
Castle pieces.
In this game, it is a hybrid game, which is what I like a lot about this one. That you are first using worker placement. I guess I should probably show some pictures on here. You're using worker placement to take spots and build up your kingdom. So build up your castle. And some of those cards are going to allow you to get food, or they'll help you get more soldiers, or they'll help you build up your castle. There's a lot of different things that those do. By the way, the end of the game, you want to have the most money at the end of the game. And you're spending money throughout the game, a lot of money. You're spending money to get those cards, to build up your castle, to get resources, lots of different things. But at the last part of the round, you're going to get attacked. And you're going to get attacked more and more throughout the game. By the end of the game, you're flipping over tons of cards. You got people coming in from all sides of your castle trying to destroy you. I just really, really like this game.
Yeah.
Now, there is fiddliness with the with that
way the
battle
attacks work and
sequence.
stuff.
That's right. With that battle sequence, there's some fiddliness to know exactly what happens, but once you figure that out, for me, I really enjoy this game. I think it's one of my favorites of this genre for sure. Maybe my favorite of this genre. I really enjoy it. It's cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it with you.
And it can
not
play
my
out.
style, but it was cool.
Depending on what cards come out, it plays out differently too. Now you're going to be getting attacked. Every round you're going to get attacked, and some of that can be, samey, but they're attacking from different sides, and you have to figure out which side do I really want to build up. Where do I want to put soldiers? You kind of guess at that because you can move them around once the battle starts, but you can only do it if you have these tokens, and they might just come plowing through one wall that you left defenseless. And I think it's cool. I like it a lot.
There it is, baby.
After the Empire.
That was your number
8.
8, right? All right. So my number 8 is a game that I think I would have higher on the list, but I've only played it one time, and that was at PAX U, and that's It's a Wonderful Kingdom. I really enjoyed my play. I'm a big fan of It's a Wonderful World. It's a Wonderful Kingdom is a 2-player version of It's a Wonderful World. And one of the things that's also really cool about it is it has these modules, and the modules absolutely really matter in the game. So if you remember It's a Wonderful World, and you remember the blue guy and the red gal tokens that are in that game, here you have I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember. It's been a minute. But those tokens, a lot of the modules, that's the word I'm looking for, those are affected in there. So instead of just stacking those tokens, they can be used to do different and various things, which I think is really, really cool. It also has the I split you choose mechanic in it, which I like that because it gets some more thoughtfulness to what you're deciding on, what cards to choose. But it does have that kind of extra gameplay, like that little bit more downtime where your opponent's trying to decide where to put the cards on each side. So it's like a love-hate relationship, I would say, with that. But I thought it was really solid. I don't have this yet. I can't wait to pick it up. It's a Wonderful Kingdom.
Yeah, I'll try this one. I have not got a chance to play this one yet. I enjoyed It's a Wonderful Life, not as much as you, but I still think it's a fun game.
Really, you like that movie a lot?
World. Is that what it is? It's a Wonderful World?
That's exactly right.
What do you like better, It's a Wonderful World or It's a Wonderful Life? Movie.
If It's a Wonderful... Oh.
It's one of the best of the
apples and oranges there.
No.
That's tough to...
Just pick one.
Just probably a board game. I would rather play a board game than watch a movie, generally.
Okay. Even that movie? It's really good.
I'm with you.
Okay. All right. My number 7, I think, is what we're at right now.
Is further along on my list, so you need to...
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Whoa! You're listening to the podcast, and you heard some distortion. Dean got a little excited there.
John's number 7.
All right. So my number 7 is an...
Good, because we need more
Adam
John
Kopinski game. I know. Which I'm surprised Dean didn't have it on his, because he did Nemesis, and Dean, fawns over that.
These are 2 different games, right?
He decided to
But I really like Origins.
Pretty much a straight Euro game, and that is Origins First Builders. I like this game. I think it's really cool because you have a lot of different pieces, or several different pieces going on, but I never felt like super overwhelmed in it. You have tracks that you're going up on the far right-hand side of the board, and these temple tracks. You also are constellations, right? Yeah. You have little tiles that you're laying to kind of build your city. You also have this battle, war kind of track that you're going around in the middle of the board. But really the crux of this is you're placing out your citizens, your dice, and they can go onto the worker placement spots. However, every time you use it, it becomes a little harder. So if I use it and it has a number 2 die, a number 2 marker on that worker placement spot, I have to use a number 2 or higher die to be able to place it there, unless I want to give up wisdom, which is... you don't want to give up too much wisdom. But whenever I place my die there, then I crank it up to 3. And then when Dean goes there, he cranks up to 4. And so eventually, when it gets to 6, it will get easier. But it gets to the point to where you have to really, really plan a lot of things ahead in this game, don't you, Dean? And the way the in-game scoring is really cool as well. The way that you're looking at the little towers that you're building and multiplying it. There's a lot of tough decisions times dice that you put into your city. But oh no, I don't know if I want to put that die there because it's high value, but I could be, using it right now to do a really powerful action because it's a high value. Those are cool decisions. Then you have this little Archon character that Dean is showing here, and that is colorless, except for as you look in this spot here, when you have the die that become advisors, now that Archon is red and blue. So it's like as you're building these engines over the course of the game, and I thought this was a delightful Euro.
Delightful.
Yep.
It's delightful. Yep. Really enjoy this one too. I thought it was a lot of fun. I especially like how how those mothership things play out, and lots of different ways of getting points in this game. Good pick, John. I like this one.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to like It's a Wonderful Kingdom better, but I've played this one a lot more. That is my number 7, and that is Origins First Builders.
It's just going to be a while before I get to talk is the problem.
Oh, you got to be quiet again?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So that's my number 5, correct? Wait, 6. Number 6.
Wow. Okay.
You're number 6.
Nah, is that right? Yeah, my number 6. Hey, this may be a surprise. Maybe it's not a surprise. This is a game that's been going on for, was earlier in 2021 is why I say it could be a surprise. Because you know what? Sometimes, Dean, I'll give you a chance to talk. Whenever you're doing these lists, you sometimes forget like some of the games that you played earlier that might have come out in January or February or even March, where we're at right now. And it's easy to remember kind of the newer ones. Do you have a hard time sometimes like going, oh, how much did I like that game?
Yeah, I absolutely do, but this is not one of them. This was really close to making my list. This was a top 15 for sure.
This was so hard for me to remember back to as I set up a game this morning. Dean walked into my office and I was playing this against myself. That's Lions of Lydia. I forget if I didn't mention that or not. And that's a Johnny Pack game. And I just think this is one of those, again, a delightful little Euro-like game. And it's so simple. You're going to pull a merchant. You have 4 merchants in your bag. You're going to pull one out. Then you're going to place it next to a gate. And you're simply going to look at how many other merchants and are there and what color the gate is. And let's just say that there was a blue merchant. I place down a green, and it's at a green gate. What do, Dean? I get 2 green resources and 1 blue resource. You simply count that stuff up. However, as the game progresses, you're getting these cards that can build an engine for you. So I might have a card that says when you place a green merchant at a green gate, you get another green resource. And I just think that part's cool, but as you progress up your player board resource kind of track, when you get to the 6th spot in it, you have now a decision. You can make one of the cards in your tableau more powerful by upgrading it immediately without paying the resources. Or you can go up this bottom track that might give you coins, but also the bottom track on your player board tells you how many buildings you can have in your city. So if you're not going up that, then you can't keep building into your city. I just think that this is a quick 30 to 60 minute great game by Johnny Pack. I really like this. My wife doesn't like it as much as I do, which is super sad to me. What a great game.
Yeah.
People don't talk about this game enough.
It's fantastic. I think it was talked about a little bit more whenever the Kickstarter was going on, maybe even when it released. I kickstarted this one, and I am thankful that I did. It's got some really cool expansion stuff in the box. This is an excellent game. I really enjoy it. It's like I said, it was a top 15, maybe even number 11 or 12, something like that.
It's $28 on Miniature Mark when I was looking this morning. That's a steal. Now, if you're a super heavy Euro gamer or something, this may not be your thing.
Who this appeals to, though, are Hadara is one that we've compared it to. If you like Hadara, this is a really good comparison to that. It's totally different games, but it gives you some of the same feels.
That kind of really engine building track going up, kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Man, this is a fun game.
Yep.
Good pick.
Number 6.
Skip over my number 5.
Oh my gosh.
And you got to skip yours. Well, you skip your number 5 too. All right.
Okay.
So let's go to my number 4. Sleeping Gods.
That's what you've been doing the last 10 minutes, huh?
That's right. I have been snoozing.
Did I just call you a god?
No, you're just saying I was sleeping, I think.
Good.
So this is a Ryan Lockett game, and this is another story-driven game. This one is cooperative, though. Technically, it has a miniature in there, John, so I guess you can count that one. In this game, you are taking on the role of these different characters that are aboard a ship, and the ship is moving around the map. And this is like a 1920s era game. And here's how John taught me the game. I've talked about this a lot, but John said, what do you want to do? That's what he said. What do you want to do?
This is my number 1 game.
I said, I want to go there. Okay, well, let's do that. Let's explore that. And then you go to the book and it tells you what's going on here. And it might say, hey, you want to complete this quest. You need to have this item down in the southeastern region of this other island, like this island that's southeast of this island, and you want to go to the temple and you need to go inside there and bring this item, and you're just going on a bunch of quests, and it's a lot of fun, and it creates so much really cool story. The characters, you start to get a feel like this story emerges from the type of characters. Some characters are good at healing, some are good at battling specific or competing against specific quests. The battle mechanism in this game is really fantastic. It's just a lot of fun. We did a video on this. You can go look at that. I'm sure we did a podcast of this too at some point.
I think it's a fun game. It's an open world game.
It
right?
is, yeah.
So it feels like your Minecraft or Terraria or some of these games. I'm sure there's a lot more. I'm showing my age probably. Games where like the joy of winning the game is not really there. Like it's not as strong, right? It's more of I can do what I want, and I can complete some quests and have some fun and stuff like that. But I don't think it has this like super satisfaction where you beat the game. Would you agree with that for someone who played all the way through?
I do. I totally agree. Now, the reason I was hesitating is because the game is long. Like, the campaign, I think the first campaign I played is like 12 hours or something like that. Something along those lines. And I soloed that like first campaign, which I think the solo is just as fine. You have to keep up with all the characters, but it's fine. But it feels good when you win. And I did win that, but you're right. It's the story that emerges from that.
Yeah.
But if you lose, you're like, well, I spent 12 hours on that, and I just lost.
I think that didn't happen, and you take back some of the things.
That's what happens when I solo. I cheat when I play
doesn't
solo.
matter. No one else cares. No one else sees it. But but I didn't mean that in a bad way. I meant it in a certain people are drawn to those types of games, and if you are, I think you would really like this game.
Yeah, I've only ever played Above and Below of his games. That's not true. I played a couple other ones, but as far as like, I didn't play Near and Far. I didn't play, what was the other one? Islebound.
Yeah.
I didn't play any of those like really, really heavy story-driven ones, but it's made me want to go try them, but I haven't because I've just been exploring this one.
That is your number 5?
My number 5. It's got
right.
a miniature in there. That doesn't count though, right?
So...
You're number 5.
No. Is this my number 5? Yeah.
I'm lost right now.
I know. I should have pulled up my list.
You'll see the ticker on the bottom of the screen, but if you're listening to the podcast, you're just going to be lost with us. I'm sorry. There we go.
Oh, you're making me nervous. Like, I got to pull up my computer real quick.
1, 2, 3. You're 4. Number 4.
That's what I thought. This was my number 4.
This is your number 4.
Yeah, my number 4 is a Devere game. That is Luna Capital. And I say Devere game because Devere has been putting out a lot of good stuff lately. Now, a lot of people loved Red Cathedral. I like this better than Red Cathedral. You?
When did Red Cathedral come out?
The year before.
Oh, okay.
I believe 2020.
Yes, I do. I do like this. Slightly. I really like Red Cathedral.
This was another one of those games that I was interested in because it was Devere, but Dean was really excited. And kind of one of those ones where as we were playing it, I went, oh, yeah, this is good. So in this game...
Wait, by the way, this is my number 6. I didn't say that yet. John's number 4, my number 6.
Why don't you tell how it's played then? Because I kind of have talked a lot.
Okay, so in this game, it's actually fairly similar to another game that we'll talk about here in a little bit. In this game, you are drafting... Sorry, I'm trying to find a picture where you can show...
It's a cool picture there, though.
Yeah, there's cool pictures. I don't want cool pictures right now. I want something that's going to help me. All right. So you're going to have your own little player area in front of you. You have these different cards that just are for keeping things on there. What you're going to do on your turn is you're going to draft. There's cards on here.
I should have just...
I'm pointing here.
Should have explained it myself.
There we go. There's cards right here, and then there's tiles right here. When you draft, you're going to take the card and then all the tiles that are beneath that. The card is then going to go into your hand, and you have cards to choose from of which ones you want to play. You have to play those in sequential order. They can be, if you start high at number 10, you're working your way down. If you start low, you're working your way up. But you can't play, like if I start high, I can't then go back high later on. I have to keep going down in the numbers. Unless you have one of these little taxi-looking things, whatever those are.
I think it looks like the Minions from
that's right.
that shit movie.
And that allows you to change that rule. But the big crux of this game is the tiles that you're going to take. And when you take those tiles, they're going to go onto the cards. And how you place them is going to determine your score at the end of the game. So, or they might give you special abilities throughout the game. But for the most part, you're placing those so that you can get points at the end of the game. So, like if I have tile... let's say like these blue, I can't find any good pictures on here, sorry. I might have these tiles that all need to be joined next to each other, and when they're next to each other, I'm going to get points. You might have some of the buildings that will say you get a point for every one of these red buildings that are surrounding it, or you get 2 points, or whatever like that. So you're just placing these on there in a way, it's a puzzle, to figure out the best way to score the most points that you possibly can. It's similar. I mentioned a game we're going to talk about, Cascadia. It has some similarities to that in the drafting part, but it's very different in the tile placement part.
Yeah, I just think that, just to add on to what Dean said, that I think there's a lot of satisfying moments as you sit back and like see how big, that continuous line is, of what you've done, or whenever you're starting to like really pop off on getting points because you're surrounding this thing that you're, if you surround it, and every time you surround it, you're scoring points and all that kind of stuff. Interesting decisions, like Dean mentioned, on the card drafting with the tiles. And then I just feel like it's just, to me, it just is satisfying when you're scoring it at the end and looking, like taking a look at what you've created. A really fun game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And sometimes it becomes very intense because you're like, I have to put this somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's not really that many places. And you put it down, and the tile that you've been waiting to come out to put in that spot then comes out a little bit later. And there is some ways to manipulate that to be able to move things around and tear the buildings down, stuff like that. But it becomes very tense. I enjoy it quite a bit. Number 4 for John, number 6 for me. That is
Luna
Capital. My number 3 then? 1, 2, 3.
3.
Is Ankh, Gods of Egypt.
I'm keeping up with it over here.
Did you think that you're keeping up with what?
I'm surprised that this is so high for you.
Yeah?
I am.
Yeah, why would you be so surprised?
Because it was
an amazing game. It's Eric Lang, who's my favorite designer.
It has
miniatures.
It has that merge rule.
I knew you were going to bring that up. Just let it go, man.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be on your top 10 by any stretch. I mean, number 3, that's pretty high.
The gameplay of this is fantastic. By
the way, this is the game with the most miniatures in it so far.
There we go. Okay. In this game, it's dudes on a map. You're putting these different characters out there, and then you are going to be battling in the different territories. Having the majority is going to give you the points in there, and that's the gist of it. But the biggest part of this is in the battle system, you're playing cards, and those cards are really cool because they're not all like, like in Blood Rage when you play a card, which I'm not knocking Blood Rage. You play a card in battle that gives you points. If your points are higher than theirs, you're going to win. In this one, you might not even necessarily care if you win. You might want to lose. Yeah.
It's the same way in Blood Rage.
Well, it is, but it plays out a little bit differently. You might also not even care necessarily about the battle. You might think, I'm going to play this card that's going to give me that's going to give me things, right? That's going to give me different followers, or going to give me different things based on wherever I am. If I have my people in the desert, I might get more points for winning that battle. I'm not looking at the cards right now. If you have somebody in the Delta, you'll get more followers, based on how many people you have in there. The monsters in here become pretty interesting. You're not going to use all the monsters in every game. You're only going to use some of them, one of the different types of levels. There's a race to get those. You're also building up your abilities on your own personal player board, and that becomes very interesting. Now, some of that, the player board, I kind of wish that you had more options there because they are all the same, and that could potentially get stagnant after a while, but I still think it's fun. The big thing is the merge thing that John doesn't like. The last 2 players, once you hit a certain point in the game, following this track right here, the last 2 players are going to merge together and play as one. You don't like it?
Nah, I mean, it's fine. Like, if some people like it, that's cool. I think that it could be, it's kind of, the weird thing about it is that I think it could be really cool in certain games and really not cool in other games.
John got hurt. Depending on who you got your feelings hurt.
No. Depending on who you're playing with, depending on the level of player, I can go through all this stuff. Like, it was, I didn't love it. I really liked this as a 2-player game, though, a lot. And I like Ankh. Like, I did not hate that. I still rated it pretty high, despite that, not really loving the merge rule.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a borderline game for me as well.
And there are options to not play that. In fact, after I did some reading, I think after we did the video maybe, or maybe even before, and we just didn't see it then, Eric Lang said, maybe even the first time or two you play the game, when you're getting to know it, just leave that merge out.
Yeah. I just wish they would have put that in the rule book.
Yep. Which, again, there are options to do that, but not with all player counts, and that it affects it.
Yeah. I mean, there may be a reason why, but I wish they would have in the rule book put, hey, here's a variant. You do not have to play that, kind of do your own thing, but whatever. No
but
worries.
also, I'll just throw this out there. There's some interesting strategy that happens before that merge happens.
Absolutely.
To try to figure out, there's some negotiation going on. There's some talking like, hey, we're at the bottom right now. Let's go ahead and plan on what we're going to do and try to strategize that way. But then I can leave you in the dust and, kind of mess you over after I've already told you that we're going to work together. I like that. I think it's really cool. There's a lot of really interesting nuances to this game. I think it's fantastic. Is it better than Blood Rage or Rising Sun for that matter for me? No, it's not. I like both of those better, but I still really, really enjoy this one.
Yep.
That is my number 3, Ankh, Gods of Egypt. Your number 3.
I have a meeting as we're doing we're trying to finish this up here, and that's what I'm texting someone about. So
I'll talk about yours soon.
No, my number 3 is a Reiner Knizia game. I really do enjoy Reiner quite a bit, and that's Witchstone. This is Combo Glory, huh, Dean?
I love this game.
Can you pull up some?
It was hard for me not
pictures?
to put this on my list.
So it's got a cool action selection mechanism in your cauldron, kind of like Bonfire from Stefan Feld. And when you're placing them down, you're getting that combo action based on your power of your action is how much these are orthogonally chained together, right? And how much they are gives you the power of your action. I think that's really, really cool. Everything connects to everything in this game. Like when you play into the little crystal ball or whatever, there's other actions that you're doing, getting gems to be able to go there. And it just seems like everything is woven really, really well together. I enjoy the card play of picking the cards that you have, and I'll let you talk about it a little. Was this on your list?
No, it was not.
Oh, wow, that was a mistake.
I just said this is an excellent game that did not make the list. This is another one that probably would have made top 15. However, I don't think this is the best Reiner Knizia game that came out in 2021, but it's still excellent. The other one didn't make my list either, Siege of Rundar, but it was really, really close.
Yeah, no, it's good. If you like, this is a solid midweight Euro, right?
Yep.
And a lot of cool, and if you like combo action, different things like that, roll with this, give it a shot. I think that the art, and not the art was bad, but the theme and everything together, I think if it would have been playing with dogs in a park, or what, I think it would have been a little bit more appealing to some other people. I'm saying that not to say anything negative towards it. I'm saying to say if you've been I'm not sure, maybe I don't like the fantasy type theme or the witchy theme or whatever, try it because it's good.
Or the box art, because I didn't like that either. I didn't love the box art, but this game also has some similarities to Bonfire, which may have kind of, I don't know. For some, I know some people like it better. I think I prefer Bonfire to this, but I still really, really like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Witchstone, awesome. That is John's number 3. My number 2 was on your list, I think, maybe. That's Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. Was that on your list?
My number 5.
Oh, you're number 5. Okay. So in this game, this is the one that I kind of debated because, it's that re-implementation. I wasn't putting reprints on here. This is different enough, I think. This is a pretty different game from Terraforming Mars, but it has some of the same feels to it. It's like Race for the Galaxy meets Terraforming Mars, meets a simpler version of Terraforming Mars.
True.
Right?
Absolutely it is.
So you're still building up your cards, in your tableau, just like Terraforming Mars. You have your board that's really similar to Terraforming Mars. You have a map that is quite a bit smaller and not as interesting as Terraforming Mars, I would say.
You have your own map too, instead of having that battle back and forth and positioning back and forth as in Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, the difference in this, your own player boards too, is that you're still getting your your titanium and your what is the other one? Metal? I don't remember what it is for your buildings, whatever that other one is.
Just giving you a discount here.
Yeah, on this one it just straight up gives you the discount. You don't have to spend anything. You do have to spend all the other resources. I like all of that quite a bit. The action selection piece is the one that really cool. is perhaps the most interesting. And yeah, I'll get to that in a second. You all play a card simultaneously, and then you take those actions. If it was a card you played, then you get the bonus action on there as well. So you might get a discount. Your card is develop, and you're going to play a green card, but you're also going to get a $4 discount on that. Now, everyone else can take the action. They just don't get the bonus. So you'll get to take the actions that other people play as well.
Yep.
The solo of this is actually really well done too, because you're still just randomly flipping over a card to determine what actions are going to be taken. but you have to terraform Mars before the timer decks run out. Okay.
Yep.
The less interesting thing is the map. You just have ocean tiles on there. You're flipping those over and taking those. That's it. Like that. You don't have those interesting pieces of building up these special planets or building up these special areas and buildings and stuff on the map. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I generally don't love streamlined quote unquote versions of games as much. I almost always go, I'd rather just play the big box. That's not necessarily the case here. I like the way the actions work, as Dean said. I do like how it is definitely a quicker game. If I wanted to have the grand epic feel of Terraforming Mars, I won't get that from this. But if I want to play this, which I probably would play this more often than Terraforming Mars, not probably, I know I would play this more often than Terraforming Mars. I think it gives me those feels, and again, I like the action selection, and I'm good to go. I like it. Number 5 for me. Is that 2 for you, Dean?
Number 2 for me. Yep.
Yeah, it's a really good game.
All right. John's number 2, and this was my number 10, 9, 8, I think it was 7. Yeah, 7 is Cascadia.
Yeah. Cascadia was a game that really kind of blew me away whenever again, it wasn't that I just didn't have super high expectations, and I went, whoa. I think that this year was a lot of, and I mentioned this on the podcast earlier in it, that my number 1 is I really like it, and then everything else is like, okay, it's good. And that's how I feel about Cascadia. Like, I like Cascadia. It's a solid game, but I was kind of like, whoa, this is way better than I expected it to be. But it has those decisions that Dean mentioned earlier with Luna Capital. I got to get a tile, but I also have to get the animal, and I really like the animal, but I don't love the tile. Yes, there's ways with the pine cones to break the rule there and different things. But it's really cool because you have those 5 cards that come out that tell you how you're going to score, and those come out kind of wildly differently. There's like, I think, 4 or 5 for every animal, and then there's 5 different animals. So the combinations of those are a lot. And then that simple, tough decision, oh man, I like that, but I like that. I want to do this or do that. Do I spin the pine cone or do I not? Lead to a really cool little tile land game I can play with almost anyone, and I just, every time I play, I'm like, that was fun. Yeah. And it's fairly quick.
Yeah, it's great. I've introduced this to new people as well that haven't played a lot of board games in the past, and they've really enjoyed it. It can be a little bit long because it can have some AP,
it can have some AP
little analysis paralysis if you're not used to playing these type of games. But usually, if you kind of latch on to 1 or 2 of those scoring cards that you're like, okay, I can at least focus my attention on this, and then kind of expand that as we go.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I think it's fine. This is a
yeah, I mean, number 2 for me. I really enjoyed this. Randy Flynn did a really good job.
Also, because I've played more solo stuff this past year, this is an excellent solo too. This and Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, it is. It's good solo.
Ares Expedition are probably the 2 that I've soloed the most maybe this year. A lot of fun. Excellent pick, John.
All right.
And Dean.
And your number what?
My number 1 is not going to be on
John's
John's
list. What was
list.
this for you?
Oh, number 7.
Okay,
Sorry.
7 for you again, 2 for me. Okay.
Cascadia. My number 1, Merchant's Cove.
Speaking of Johnny Pack, interesting. Hey, we had Johnny Pack on our lists, but different games.
That's right. The other one could have made my list. This wasn't just Johnny Pack. This is Carl Van Ostrad.
I can't believe
Drake
I am so surprised that this is your number 1. Not because it's not a good game or anything. I remember you liked it, but I just did not remember you liked it this much.
Because it was overshadowed by how much the other people at the table didn't like it. Right? I mean, the time that we played with... No, I know you did, but like the time we played with Brian did not like this game. And was pretty vocal about it, which is fine. And sometimes, it's hard to see how much somebody else likes it.
I've soured some games for you before. Super Punch Fighter and... There's some games we play now.
That's very true.
This game sucks. Can we just stop right now?
Yeah, that was sad. But this game is much better than that. In my opinion.
This is fun.
So in this game, which also has miniatures, wasn't thinking about that. It's
dude, all your games are like
they didn't
beautiful with miniatures. Almost all of them.
There were 2, I think, that didn't. Okay, so this game is beautiful. You're merchants, okay, and you are selling your wares at these different docks. Whenever the adventurers come in from adventuring, you want to sell your stuff. But you're not all selling the same thing. This is really like the meat of the game. I might be a pirate and I'm selling a specific type of good. I might be a blacksmith and I'm just trying to sell some armor and some weapons. Or I might be a dragon rancher trying to sell some dragons. Yeah. And they all play, this is an asymmetrical game, so each faction that you play is going to play out very differently. But what you're doing is you're taking an action through worker placement. You take that action and it's going to cost a certain amount of time. then you're moving your marker around this board on the clock. When the clock gets all the way around and somebody, once all the people have made it to the market spot or on it or past it, that's going to end the round. You start all over again, play 3 rounds like that. But the cool thing is as these adventurers are coming in the boats, you have control. On your turn, whenever you cross one of those places that has the little meeple symbol on there, you're going to draw one from the bag and put it on one of those boats. Whenever a boat fills, you're going to pick which dock that it goes to on that side of the island. So one side is going to sell large goods. The next one's going to sell just small goods. The last one is going to sell... I don't have it on there. The last one is going to sell either or, but you have to take some corruption because it's the black market, which I think is really cool. The manipulation of that and controlling like what goods are going to sell this round is really cool because you might be really building up these small yellow goods to be able to sell at the biggest profit, depending on how many of the adventures. It's that supply and demand. It's really, really cool. I just love this game. I love so many things about this game. I love that piece. I really love the asymmetrical factions that do play very differently. I think now it's a simpler version of like a Root type game. I would say this is
just like Root.
It's a pretty, with the asymmetric factions. The gameplay of this is pretty simple. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. Mid-weight game, but the factions all play pretty simply. What I like about that is you can pick this game up right now, and I can teach you those different factions in like 2 minutes, right? It doesn't take long to learn what their actions do and try to figure that out. And then you're getting cards that give you the symbols and give you special abilities on there, and there's some engine building with those cards that you're getting. Mm-hmm. I love this game so much. I've played it a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed it too, for sure. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as good as the Lions of Lydia. It's definitely not as epic. You didn't like Lions of Lydia because I had meeples. And this has these ships.
I really like Lions
and all this stuff. Now, I know you like that one too.
Knocking over my microphone.
Struggling. All right, that's your number 2. Cool.
No, that's my number 1. My number one game of the year is Merchant's Cove.
Yeah. Wow. That's good though. That's a fun game. All right, my number 1 game of the year is Dean's number 5.
Yes.
And let's just talk about another Devere game. That's Bitoku. I thought that this game was absolutely fantastic. In Bitoku, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing cards. And as you're playing a card and doing the action, you're also going to be unlocking dice to be able to go as a dice worker placement onto the board. You're also going to be kind of building up your hand as the game progresses. And there's just a lot of different places to go when it's a point salady game. There's a bunch of different ways that you can score points. There's some tug of war in the middle of the board where if you want to compete with Dean and whoever gets furthest on the track is going to score points at the end of the game, you can do that. If you want to go build houses or buildings, then you can go do that. When players go to your building, you can actually get bonuses for that. It's got a lot of just really cool parts, and oftentimes this happens in games where like it adds a lot of things I like to the game, but there's not enough of it. There's some engine building in this game that I get excited. I'm like, oh, you just try to mash too many things together. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, it's like a magical cauldron where all those things got mixed together and it actually turned out super good. And I think the art is beautiful on this game. Yeah, the board's a little bit busy, but there's just so many cool little pieces to it. If you haven't checked out Bitoku, it's absolutely fantastic. Easily my number 1 pick. This was where I said that this game was, I felt like, a head above the rest of the games on this list. This would be a 9.5 for me, where the rest of them would be like in that 7 to 8 range, where I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, let's play. Yeah, it's fun. I like it. It's good. This was just a really, really good game.
Yeah. I really enjoy this one too. Obviously, number 5. This one was no surprise for me, for you, because it is the heaviest Euro type game that we played this year. Maybe that this year.
Yeah, but I didn't really like Tabanusi. I didn't put Tabanusi or Arc Nova. Like, there's actually several of those heavier ones that I didn't like this year.
And what I mean is, like, it didn't seem like there was many options.
Yeah.
But this one is really good. And
no, it is.
It also, like, I say heavy. I don't think this is necessarily that heavy, right?
I would say a 3.5 plus. Okay. I think that my list is way lighter than any other. Maybe the lightest list I've had.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how some of those other games fit into this.
This is by far the heaviest game.
But this one it's so cool. I really like lots of things about this, building up the trail. What I like maybe most about this is I like when games have this, like, I'm delaying, like, the things that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to delay this action and wait as long as I can before John is actually going to take this action, meaning moving across that river. you know, like if I don't have to move across the river right now, then I'm going to hold off because I can get some other actions and I might block some things.
Timing is huge in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great pick, John. It's a lot of fun.
There you go.
2 of DeVere games on our list too, which is 2 out of 10. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah, no. 2 Johnny Pack games.
That's right. That's right.
There's some similarities.
All right,
that's it.
That is it. Ooh, out of breath now. All right.
Our top 10 games of 2021.
I need to work out more maybe, but
that
that made me out of breath.
Sitting here and talking.
Yeah, that is our top 10 of 2021. We will at some point talk about like what our game of the year is, and usually we do our top 3 and then our number 1 game combined of the year. Then we'll do a big, hoopla thing over that. But that's it for this one. Tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe. You can go to patreon.com/MeepleTown to support what we're doing. We're at MeepleTown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're Board Game Geek Guild 3407.
Thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our Patreon supporters for making content like this possible. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/MeepleTown. To follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, find us at MeepleTown Games. Finally, to connect with us and other residents of MeepleTown, you can join Guild 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com. Until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.